Good evening, welcome along to the best from the Football League. Three divisions which are fast becoming a punter's worst nightmare. The midweek games were a perfect example as we saw far more away wins than those at home. And that just meant 6 teams went into today's games with 100% records. Steve's with me tonight and he'll be shedding some light on the day's big winners and losers. And here's a glimpse of what's on offer. It's not often two former England managers go head-to-head in the Football League, but Steve and Sven met at the City Ground as Nottingham Forest took on Midland rivals Leicester City. With 9 goals in 3 league games, there's no doubt Southampton are the Championship hotshots at the moment. Nigel Adkins' Saints were looking to keep that going when Millwall came to the south coast. Peterborough managed just the one season the last time they were in the Championship, and the early signs this time round were promising going into Saturday's clash with Ipswich.
And it's all systems go for Rotherham United. It's the anniversary of one of their greatest achievements. Their new stadium's been built, and with 3 wins out of 3, they sit proudly on top of League Two.
Well, our first stop tonight is the East Midlands, and a match that brought together 2 former England managers as Sven-Göran Eriksson's Leicester made the short trip up the M1 to take on a Nottingham Forest side now led by Steve McClaren. Well, that was clearly the subplot to a derby game which already meant quite a bit to both sets of fans, and history emphatically favoured the home side with Leicester's last league victory at the City Ground coming way back in 1972. Watching this one for us was Alistair Mann.
2 former England managers meet head-to-head in an East Midlands derby which would have generated enormous interest regardless of who was sat in the opposing dugouts. That the 2 men in charge of Steve McClaren and Sven-Göran Eriksson has only intensified the significance of the fixture. Well, a midweek victory at Doncaster and McClaren his first league win since taking charge at Forest, a result achieved by the side's first goal of the campaign. Its scorer Chris Gunter stays in his left-back role with Brendan Maloney on the right. Eriksson's Leicester were booed off by their puzzled supporters on Wednesday, having succumbed to a second successive home defeat. The usually serene Swede makes 4 changes, bringing in John Pansel, Matt Mills, Neil Dans and Darius Vassell. Here's Wellens, good ball. Fernandez takes a deflection, goes out for the corner. Bamba's always a menacing figure from set pieces. Mills as well will need to be marked. And Nugent got the flick on the near. It was Maloney who was in the way. Here's Dans and Wellens. And that's the first goal-bound effort of the afternoon. Pansel in again, cleared by Morgan and then mishit by McGoldrick. Here's Mills and now Vassell. Does well, Vassell, good quick feet. Bamba goes for goal and there is the game's first save. Lee Camp low to his right to stop the big man from scoring. Vassell did really well here, really quick feet and got it out. And Bamba went for the left-hand corner as he saw it. Lee Camp made the save. Morgan, Boateng, Cohen, Greening, they're trying to get themselves a little time and room, but in the end Gelson Fernandez takes it away. What an opening this! And Nugent stays onside and guides it home, and Leicester City are in front, and Gelson Fernandez may not have scored it, but my goodness, he certainly had a part to play in its creation. The visitors ahead at the City Ground. There are questions being asked by Nottingham Forest, but Sven-Göran Eriksson knows that it's Gelson Fernandez who made a terrific contribution. Getting himself to the ball first, beyond Chambers, kept his nerve, the ball played into the path of Nugent. And Nugent couldn't and didn't miss. Again, Forest guilty of giving possession away. And here's Dans and Nugent and Dans again. And it's 2-0 off the line, but it will be now. Gelson Fernandes, who set up the first, scores the second, and for the second time in a matter of minutes, Forest give possession away and are punished. Well, you can't legislate for that. Boateng couldn't get there. It was a pass that, in fairness to Boateng, he didn't look like he was going to reach. Dan's almost scored. It was a great clearance off the line from Gunter, but regardless of his efforts, up came Gelson Fernandes, and Fernandes scores his first goal in English football since September 2008, and he has put Leicester City 2 up inside the opening 21.5 minutes. Here's Boateng, Greening, Gunter, and Derbyshire. Oh, he should have at least put it on target, and he knows it. It's the first time that, well, anyone in Forest colours have had a real sight of Kasper Schmeichel's goal, and he was unmarked. Oh, it's a poor effort, isn't it? Steve McLaren's got one heck of a half-time team talk to fashion. Fernandes trying to guide it towards Dans. It might well reach him. Here's Konchesky, and now Dans. Konchesky's keeping up with Dans, and he wants it, but Dans is still going right across the face of the goal. Well, there were targets in the middle, but Dans only had one thing in his mind once he'd been released by Konchesky, and he scampered round the back of Nottingham Forest, got the better of Morgan and tried to bend it into that far post, but it was just beyond that. Camp couldn't get close to it. Now here's Finley, what a chance! And Schmeichel with a really good save. It's the first time he's had to really get his gloves to anything. And the first combination between the two forwards, and it was pretty much route one. Miller helps it on, and Finley smacks it goal-bound, and Schmeichel did well to beat it away. And Finley could only turn over the rebound. The closest Forest have come. Konchesky battling and losing. McGugan. Now Majewski. Away by Mills, and a little more belief around the City ground for the Nottingham Forest fans. Miller. Good effort. Stung the gloves of Kasper Schmeichel. And in the space of a couple of minutes, Kasper Schmeichel has been as busy as he's been throughout the rest of the match. Well, among the interested fans today, a Nottingham Forest legend, Roy Keane, watching on. Majewski. Morgan forward into the path of Finley. Referee waves play on because Majewski has it. Finley looking, and Mills. Penalty, handball against Mills. And Forest have a lifeline, and a yellow card for Mills as well. Well, as Mills goes low here, there's his arm on the ball. Was there any intention? Well, Jonathan Moss awards the penalty for that. Mills looks puzzled, but Jonathan Moss had no hesitation, and Forest have a gift. Now there's a yellow card for Schmeichel as well, for a bit of gamesmanship. Forest need this to go in. McGugan against Schmeichel. They're back in it. 12 minutes and stoppage time to go, and Schmeichel's kicked the ball away, gets a second yellow card, and he's sent off. And this game changes in a matter of moments. McGugan scores the penalty, then Schmeichel gets out of the net and thumps it out into the stands. In fact, he hurls it. But either way, his actions have merited a second yellow. And all of a sudden, Sven-Göran Eriksson has a set of problems he never anticipated. Cohen just caught by Pansel, and Cohen has stayed completely motionless on the floor, but Forest have the ball and they're waved on. Here's Gunter. Here's Greening. Cohen's picked himself up and joins the attack. And Wheel goes to get it, doesn't get to it, and it's turned in by Boateng. Right at the end. Delirium around the City ground. An improbable point is theirs. Miller jumped, didn't get there. Boateng did. And the equaliser in stoppage time from the man who used to get his manager Steve McLaren out of 1 or 2 holes for Middlesbrough. Well, he's done it again for him today. Well, Steve, an incredible 60 seconds transformed certainly the incidents that came after it, didn't it?
Yeah, action-packed, and that's 2 we've had here with Notts County and this one. Drama till the end. And I think we salvaged a point from what looked an impossible situation at half-time. Not just the 2 goals that we gave them, but the way we were playing. No real threat. And you thought, well, how do we come back from that? But unbelievable character, made a few changes, changed the momentum about halfway through, I think, the second half. They started to tire, we started to get on top. And you just felt that a little bit of luck, you know, which we needed, would change this game.
Well, I think it was a soft penalty, of course. Of course, we think that, but today, now it's too late. We think it's a soft penalty, but the referee obviously saw it in another way. So,
at half-time, looking at him, I thought, "Oh, this is going to be a tough job." But you could just feel it, and what I'm pleased about was that, you know, we kept playing, we kept trying to play, even when they were we kept using the width, going round the outsides, not just route 1 forward, and we got our rewards. So the changes, we always say, make sure the subs are ready, and they made a difference today.
What did you make of the 2 bookings for your goalkeeper? You're critical of him for his actions?
well, his excuse is that he didn't see. He didn't know that it was booked the first time, and we saw it on video. He doesn't see it, but that's not a very good excuse. No, it's not.
It was an incredible game, Steve. I mean, sometimes games like that, you see one team press the self-destruct button. In this case, both of them did it.
Yes, you could say that both were the architects of their own downfall, weren't they? Obviously, the 2 goals that Leicester scored, Forest will consider they could have done better. And then, you know, Leicester get themselves in a situation where they're relatively comfortable in the game, and they press the self-destruct button by getting someone sent off at a vital time to conceding a penalty, which is debatable. I suppose if you're a Nottingham Forest fan, it's a penalty, and if you're a Leicester fan, it isn't.
It is.
And then the game changes.
Let's have a look at the key moment then. What was it? 12 minutes to go of regulation time here. Was this a handball? Did the referee get it right?
Well, it's an accidental handball, so we've seen accidental handballs given. I mean, Matt Mills isn't even looking at the ball. The first time he knows where the ball is, and that's not a really good angle, is when it hits his arm. Now, it is accidental handball. How he gets booked for that is amazing. I think Jonathan Moss, the referee, gets that one completely wrong. But, as I say, it's a debatable penalty.
Kasper Schmeichel, he's furious. Now, he maintains tonight he did not know he was yellow carded.
Well, according to what we saw and listening to the game and listening to the crowd, he's actually booked as he's walking back to his goal line, because you can hear the crowd roar, and the referee should actually have got himself in a position where Kasper Schmeichel is aware in no uncertain times that he knows he's been booked that first occasion.
But he shouldn't have thrown the ball away.
He shouldn't have, and he would have been booked the second time, but he wouldn't have been sent off. So that is that's also a turning point in this game. And then, of course, they're under pressure, and they've got the momentum, Forest. And probably for the first time in the game, they look as if you know, there's something they're going to get on. They're going to get something on the end of what they're doing, and that's exactly what happened.
So for which manager is that result better for? I suppose at the end of the day, it's got to be for Steve McClaren.
Of course, I mean they're staring down the barrel with 20 minutes to go, and somehow they've managed to get themselves out of the situation and get a point out of a game that, you know, probably looked as if it was getting away from them.
Does it further increase the slowly, steady building pressure on Sven-Göran Eriksson?
Well, it doesn't help. I mean, obviously he's fully aware that he was going to be under that pressure from the start. So I mean, as we've said before, there's probably none better to handle that. But they certainly have to start improving their results.
As for Nottingham Forest, they can take heart from that half-time change. When
so.
Steve McClaren changed the front two.
I think so, and I think he's right. I think it's particularly Miller came on, and I thought he made a real difference.
With Robbie Findlay.
They were able to get the ball up to him. He held on to it. The ball didn't keep coming back, and even if he didn't win the initial, first ball, it bounced in and around him, and people were able to take a chance and get around him. I think that's how then they started to exert a little bit of pressure, which they hadn't really done all through the game.
Encouraging signs then for Forest fans. Let's get to tonight's late kick-off involving Peterborough and Ipswich. Posh, you'll remember, came up from the playoffs last season thanks to their impressive unbeaten home league record, which stood at 16 games. And if they're to extend their stay in the division beyond just one season, home form will once again be key for them. Well, after losing Craig McHale-Smith to Brighton in the summer, it was young Paul Taylor's chance to fill the void as he made his first start for Posh in their only change from midweek. Paul Jewell made 4 changes to his starting 11 after Ipswich's heavy defeat to Southampton in midweek. Jack Ainsley, Josh Carson, Lee Martin and J. Emmanuel Thomas all started.
Boyd now picks it up. Immediately the crowd rises. Tomlin goes on a run, trying to get past Carlos Edwards. Good run this now. But the Trinidad and Tobago international does well. But the ball not fully cleared. And Freckington picks it up to Boyd. Shot blocked. The Cam on the ball. Peterborough skipper. Scored already this season. Just tipped over there by Stockdale. First real chance, first good save. Home side pinning back the visitors. Good header there, a great save by Stockdale. 2 good chances, but the keeper's equal to both. And again, you've got to ask, on that particular occasion, where was the Ipswich defence? Thomas, what a handful there. And he's still got the ball, tried to sweep it through, just wide. Looked to get a touch, possibly, Jones. There's Barry Fry, Director of Football at Peterborough. That's not one of Paul Jones's better kicks. Ledbetter will pick it up now. Edwards, chance to break. Andrews opening up in front of him, tries a shot! Oh, it's in the in! What a goal by Keith Andrews! Out of nothing! The goalkeeper who did so much so right against Millwall in the week gets it wrong, and Andrews punishes him. And here's Taylor's got away from his marker. Lovely move! Oh, just past the post. Out of nothing. Ipswich under threat. Can Little keep that in? It's asking a lot. He's done so. And he's going well. Good play by Taylor. Now to Tomlin. Oh, what a strike! What a strike by Paul Taylor! Extraordinary, his first league start for Peterborough, and he made no mistake. Boyd having to come back almost just in front of his defence to try to create. Try to set away, it's a good ball as well, Tomlin's clear. He's got Taylor working. Oh, what a shot by Tomlin! He didn't need anyone else. What a finish! And again, Boyd created just as he did for Taylor, but Tomlin did the rest. Here's another chance now, and Taylor's through. He's just got the goal to beat, and he's finished it. Another goal for Paul Taylor. What a day. His league debut and 2 goals. The game's been turned on its head. Ipswich thought they'd done the hard work, they'd taken the lead. But suddenly, their defence is falling apart. 2 goals in 2 minutes, and now Ipswich have a mountain to climb. How the game has changed. This could be another one. Tomlin. It is another one. Ipswich are falling apart. But for Peterborough, it's getting better and better and better. 4-1. 3 goals in 3 minutes. Taylor's just up ahead. Little's looking in support as well. There he goes. And he's quick enough to keep the ball in, and Martin goes in with a real challenge. And it's a red. It's gone from bad to worse for Ipswich. 4 goals down, and now they're 10 men. Well, he can have few complaints, surely. Went right through the man. Paul Jewell has taken his jacket off. He may well feel like wearing a hair shirt, because it can only get worse, it seems. Away goes Tomlin. It's a red card. It's another red card. And Ipswich really are in disarray. And they're now down to 9 men. Grant McCann, the captain of Peterborough, has the chance to make it 5. And he does. No mistake. Beautiful finish. 5-1 to Peterborough. Boyd to Alcott again. To Boyd accelerating. Players in the area. McCann scored one already. Goes to return. Tomlin now. Freeze. Frecklington to McCann. Oh, it's 6. Well, it had to come, and surely there will be more. It is looking so easy, and Ipswich are utterly demoralised. Stockdale going one way, the ball the other. But the end result means that McCann has now got 2 goals. Likewise, Ryan Taylor. Likewise, Lee Tomlin. Who's going to get the hat-trick first? Gordon in space. To Taylor. Good skill. How's this going to be? Oh, off the woodwork. Ryan Tunnicliffe. Could have been 7. Lovely skill by Taylor. He scored 2, but created almost a 7th there. Tunnicliffe stretching. Still with Peterborough. Just over. Stockdale can't believe it. Nor can Rowe in a sense. But it's still only 6. Alcock advancing. Seems to lose the momentum. Here's Tomlin. To Taylor, they're queuing up again once more, trying to skip his way past a huge black wall. Comes to Rowe, this could be 7. Good save by Stockdale, still not clear. Fired in, still not away. Tomlin, it is 7. And Tomlin has his hat-trick. Ipswich couldn't defy them. Tomlin was not to be denied either. It's Peterborough 7, Ipswich 1. And what a sorry afternoon for Ipswich. What a great afternoon for Peterborough.
You don't see results like this coming. You dream about them, but you don't see it coming. Great day for us. One we'll remember for a while. To win 7-1 at any level, but at this level, is fantastic.
For me, it's horrible. It's it's embarrassing, isn't it? We're all ashamed. So yeah, it's an area where we've been trying to strengthen, to try and improve the defence, and we haven't been able to do that. And we've got to do it, and we've got to do it very quickly.
Yeah, nightmare 5 days for Ipswich Town. We'll talk about them in a second. And I remember asking you a couple of weeks ago, Steve, whether Peterborough will struggle for goals, having sold Craig McHale-Smith. I think you fudged the question at the time, but we certainly got an answer today, didn't we?
We did. I mean, this is back to this is exactly how we imagine Peterborough to play. I mean, there's so many people. The first train of thought is let's get forward, let's attack the opposition. You know, all right, we know we've got to defend at times, but we like attacking more than we do defend. And as you can see, everybody was willing to get forward. There's some good goals, some great play. They've been been really entertaining over the last couple of years. And this was a fantastic performance by them.
That was the first of 2 for Paul Taylor, and I think the next goal, probably one of the best of Lee Tomlin's hat-trick. I mean, even at 4-1 up, they just didn't take their foot off the gas.
No, they're not the type of team that thinks...
Even at 4-1?
Yeah, but we've done enough. They don't think like that. You know, they want to keep going. All right, they might concede a couple along the way, but, you know, they'll try and get another 2 or 3, which is exactly what they did. They're hungry for goals, and as you can see, they really did, when they had the opportunity, put Ipswich away.
Mentioned Paul Taylor. It's been quite a journey for him, isn't it?
Well, it's been a bit of checker career so far, should we say, because obviously started in the non-league with Vauxhall Motors, I think, went on loan to Chester, did actually fail a drugs test, went to Belgium then, of all places, played for 3 different sides in Belgium, and then came back. I think Peterborough acquired his services in February, and he's done well. I think he scored in the midweek, coming on as a sub, and then started today and put in a really good performance. It was part of a fantastic overall team effort.
As for Ipswich, they've conceded 12 goals now in the last 2 games. And incredibly, it already puts Paul Jewell on the back foot just 4 games into the new season.
Well, very much so. I mean, he was one of those, one of the pre-season, shall we say, favourites to do well in this league. I thought he bought 8 players. I think everybody thought they were decent players. And the way they finished last year has to be said as well. You know, under his tutelage, they finished very, very well. It was almost playoff form, I think. So I think he described his team as weak after the defeat against Southampton and shambolic today. I don't think we'll argue with that because it's been a really, really poor 4 days for them. They certainly have to tighten up. They've got to give themselves a chance in games or, as you say, the pressure will get heavier and heavier for them.
Could be an interesting few days between now and when the transfer window closes over there. Well, heading into the weekend, there were 3 teams boasting a perfect start to the new Championship season, with Southampton, Brighton and Derby all on 9 points. Saints were top on goal difference, and they'd complete their best ever start to a campaign with victory over visitors Millwall.
Well, Nigel Adkins' Saints have taken to life in the Championship straight away. With that 3 wins out of 3 and 9 goals scored, they may be looking at back-to-back promotions. And they started well against Millwall. Jack Cork set up Júlio de Prado, and the Brazilian's finish was cool. But Southampton struggled to add to that and were on the back foot later on. Millwall pushed for an equaliser, but Kelvin Davis denied Lions sub Jimmy Abdu, and the hosts did hold on to claim that best ever start to a season.
Seagulls against Seasiders in what could be called the Coastal Derby, and life in the Championship has looked like a holiday so far for Gus Poyet's men, who were seeking a 4th win from 4. There was more fun in the sun for Albion when Craig Noon scurried down the left and swept in a cross which record-signing Craig McCall-Smith headed in for his 2nd goal for the club. Noon was at it again 5 minutes after the break, his corner brilliantly backheeled by Gordon Greer, allowing Ashley Barnes to convert his 4th of the season. Blackpool looked set for a 2nd straight defeat, but with half an hour to play, Neil Eardley found Kevin Phillips, and the veteran striker gave the visitors hope. Hope which should have evaporated when Kazenga Lualua rolled the ball into McCall-Smith's path, only for him to hit it straight at Matt Gilks. Albion were made to pay in the last minute when Stephen Craney's corner found its way to Phillips, whose 38-year-old hips swiveled to give Blackpool a point and end Albion's perfect start.
Pride Park is suitably named for Nigel Clough's derby. 3 wins out of 3 is a start his father would be proud of, and over 23,000 were there to witness the visit of lowly Doncaster Rovers. And it didn't take long for Rams fans to have something to cheer. Ben Davis sent in the corner inside 6 minutes, and Kevin Kilban headed in his 1st goal for the club. Donny had lost all their previous league games, but they did have decent possession. Giles Barnes tried to put one over his former club, but all he could do was put it over the bar, way over. The Rams had scored early on in the first half and were clearly intent on doing the same again in the second. Straight from the kickoff, the ball was launched to Ben Davies. He found himself in plenty of space. And his cross was met high by Steve Davis, the goal coming just 15 seconds after the restart. And having set up the first two, it was only fair that Ben Davies should try and get his own name on the score sheet. And he did, in some style too, to condemn Diadoni to a fourth successive defeat. Derby, though, delighted in winning their first 4 league games of the season for the first time in over a century.
The players have worked incredibly hard to achieve it. Probably not playing as good a football as we were 12 months ago in terms of putting some resistance up and not wanting to lose and keeping clean sheets. They've done absolutely brilliant. Can't fault them at all for their effort in the first 4 league games.
Second gear in the first half and reverse in the second, so first time we've come off the pitch really this season, although we've not won, but we felt we've deserved something in every game, but got no excuses.
Fresh from Tuesday's dramatic late win against Coventry, Dougie Freedman's Crystal Palace arrived at the KC Stadium seeking a first away victory since October. They got off to a good start. After 15 minutes, Jonathan Parr's persistence paid off down the right. The Norwegian centre turned into his own net by Hull's James Chester. Jermaine Easter, who got that midweek winner against Coventry, did his best to claim this one too. Defeat for the Tigers would make this their worst start to a league season in 5 years. They nearly levelled things, but Matty Fright was denied by Julian Speroni. Peter Ramage on hand to block Robert Corran's follow-up. The Eagles almost put things out of sight late on, Parr again with the pinpoint delivery, but substitute Calvin Andrew directed his header the wrong side of the bar. Palace, though, held on to make it 3 consecutive league wins for the first time in over 2.5 years.
The results will come if you keep on grinding at the performances, and I felt it was a good performance today. You know, very resilient at the back. You know, Hull threw a lot at us and we coped with it.
Not a good performance from us. You know, we're not scoring goals at home, which is a big problem for us. Has been for a while. And again, loads of possession, but not created enough chances. So maybe we're going to have to change our style a bit.
Burnley's new signing Zavon Hines was present but didn't start in his new team's match against Cardiff. Hines has signed a 2-year contract from West Ham. Fellow forward Charlie Austin played though. Austin signed for the Clarets back in January but didn't manage to score for them in an injury-marred season. Well, now he's fit and has found his form. He scored after just a minute, his 3rd in 4 matches in all competitions. Eddie Howe's Burnley team were looking for their first win of the season and thought they may have had a good shout for a penalty. Dean Marnie, the man going down, but referee Tony Bates wasn't impressed. Robert Earnshaw scored over 100 goals in his first spell at Cardiff, and he showed why Malky Mackay brought him back to the club with this calm finish for the Bluebirds. And that's how it ended, so Burnley still without a league win this season.
Today I thought we were excellent from start to finish. Got the early goal, which really set us up, and you think, go on then, let's go and make it 2 and 3, because I thought our performance deserved that. Unfortunately, one lapse in concentration, we got punished.
A damp Medeski Stadium wasn't an ideal destination for a Barnsley side still seeking their first win of the season. It's been all uphill for Keith Hill since he arrived as tight boss. Reading were firm favourites, having lost just 2 of their last 19, but it was the visitors who went ahead. Stephen Foster escaping the attentions of the Royals' defence. The home side came close to a freak equaliser. Jimmy Kebe struck the bar. 11 minutes after the break, an incident that would bring to life an extraordinary second half. James McEverley penalised for a foul on Kebe. Ian Hart stepped up. Luke Steele saved in style. 2 minutes later, deja vu. Hal Robson-Kanu weaved his way into the box. Again, McEverley mistimed his tackle. Noel Hunt took responsibility, same corner, same outcome. Reading just couldn't get the ball in the net. Alex Pearce somehow failing to score as his header was hacked off the line. Halfway through the second half, the result looked done and dusted as Matt Dunn celebrated his 100th start in league football with a goal on his full Barnsley debut. Incredibly, the drama wasn't quite over. There was still time for Reading to win yet another penalty. Rob Edwards clipping the heels of Hunt. Robson Kanu steps up for this one. Finally, Reading had a goal. But 2-1 it finished, and Keith Hill could celebrate his first league win in charge of the Tights.
We've had to put up with quite a bit recently, but to get that result, hopefully, will carry us forward into the remaining fixtures that we've got.
We've had 3 penalties, we've had numerous chances to win the game today. We haven't taken them, but another day we will.
Nicky Maynard has scored all 3 of Bristol City's goals this season, including the 2 that beat Leicester during the week. He was hoping he could inspire a first home win of the season for City. The opponents, Portsmouth. None of Maynard's teammates looked much like scoring until after the break, when Neil Kilkenny did manage to bundle the ball over the line, but he did so illegally, taking Jamie Ashdown with it. Pompey's midweek win at Reading was their first in 11 games, but they almost made it 2 in a week. Luke Varney tried his luck and very nearly claimed all the points for the visitors, but it was a rare highlight in an otherwise pretty chanceless encounter.
Troubles on and off the pitch at Coventry, where before kick-off a group of fans demonstrated against the club's owners. A 4th successive defeat today would mean the Sky Blues' worst start to a season in 92 years. Watford are yet to win either. They did have the ball in the net 4 minutes before the break, but Mark Yates was denied a second goal of the season by the assistant referee's flag. Coventry had chances to take the lead themselves. Freddie Eastwood tried his luck from long range. Home keeper Joe Murphy had a fine game, but should have been punished for a late fumble before recovering to block Craig Forsyth's shot. 0-0 it finished. Coventry at least have their first point on the board.
I didn't think we particularly played well first half, but I thought second half we grew in stature as the game went on. Grew in confidence, kept a nice clean sheet and could have nicked it.
Yeah, well, that's a result that does neither team much good. As for Barnsley, well, they're up and running. Huge relief for Keith Hill, who admitted in the run-up to the game he was down to the bare bones. And he got a colossal team effort from back to front, didn't he?
He did. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They played very, very well today. Had that little bit of luck. They rode their luck at times, of course, because, you know, when you've got, you can see 2 penalties like this. Good penalties, actually. Nothing wrong with the penalties. Possibly just the height of them that allows Luke Steele to get across. But 2 great saves. And as you say, Matty Dunn goes up the other end of the pitch and hits the winner for them. And it was funny because I think he was quoted as saying that felt he was very, very lonely the first few weeks of the season. Well, let's hope that he's got a few more friends after that result.
He certainly might do. We saw Blackpool salvage a terrific point away to Brighton after being 2-0 down. Kevin Phillips doing what we know he can do, absolutely, even at 38 years of age. Yeah. And interestingly, he could have joined Brighton during the summer but turned them down. Yeah, well, he's clearly enjoying his football. Clearly, he's stepped into the breach at Blackpool, and this is a fantastic goal. The way he peels off, there's a host of players in together, and then he just pulls off. And it's a brilliant finish, and that is just that little bit of knowledge, that little bit of intelligence, you know, just to take you out of the norm, put you in a position where you know where that second phase ball is going to go, and then the execution. That is a goal scorer supreme. There's no doubt. When you see a 38-year-old do it, does it get you?
Of course, yeah. Always this time when the sun's out and it's nice, the pitches are lovely. It's just sort of January time. Yeah. You think, oh, I'm glad I'm up here.
Yeah, I bet you do. As for Derby, a dream start for them. 4 wins out of 4. Yeah. They've surprised a lot of people, haven't they?
Well, I mean, there's been such a turnover of players since Nigel Clough's been there. But, you know, they brought 9 players in. Obviously, things have settled down very, very quickly, you know. And as I say, they've got a good mix. And I think, to be fair, the lad Jason Shackle's come in. They've kept 3 clean sheets out of 4. Yeah. And he's made a massive impact immediately. And he's been partnered by Mark O'Brien, an 18-year-old. He hasn't got huge amounts of experience in the first team, but he's got a tale to tell. It's an interesting one, that. He has. I mean, I think it's only 2 years ago that he had a heart operation. So it's amazing, you know, when you're out on your feet and you're thinking, where am I going to turn? And then 2 years later, that's what football can do for you. It picks you up, and all of a sudden, You know, he's in a winning side, playing very well, and has developed a really good partnership. So that augurs well for the future.
Derby have done that without having 5 first-teamers in their first team. For Crystal Palace as well. I mean, yeah, but Dougie Freedman too. He had 6 players out. In fact, they've had a bit of a horrendous start to the season in terms of injuries. But 3 wins in a row for them. Brilliant.
You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it. I mean, Dougie came to the club. Keep us in this division was his brief.
Yeah.
You know, lots and lots of things happening off the pitch, which have been resolved, thankfully, in a positive way for Palace. And all of a sudden, it looks like he's just taken it on from there. And they look as if they're going to defy a few pundits, shall we say.
All right, let's get to League One now, where Charlton and Sheffield United were the only teams with maximum points after the first 3 games. The Blades had an away trip to Tranmere to contend with, while Chris Powell's men took on Scunthorpe at the Valley.
Firing on all cylinders after their perfect start to the season, Charlton were in front by half-time against Scunthorpe. Johnny Jackson's opener set up by Brad Wright-Phillips, who's rarely off the score sheet himself. Sure enough, thanks to a vicious second-half cross from Danny Hollands, Wright-Phillips added his 3rd goal of the campaign to seemingly put the early season pace-setters in complete command. But Scunthorpe mustered up a spirited response. Bobby Grant's persistence put them back in contention with 17 minutes remaining. Now United sensed they could snatch something. The home fans disgruntled as the match went into 5 minutes stoppage time, and distraught as Grant ended their side's 100% record.
Both managers agreed that this would be the biggest test so far for their respective clubs. Tranmere with 6 points from 9 up against a Sheffield United side with a perfect record. A peach of a goal from captain Nick Montgomery sent United to the break on top. Blades boss Danny Wilson was full of praise for the way his side dug in after that, but on one of the few occasions they got caught, substitute Joss Labadie made sure they paid for it.
MK Dons boss Carl Robinson says he's still expecting bids before the close of the transfer window for striker Sam Baldock, and you can see why. He opened the scoring when left without any support. He struck precisely into the corner. More from Baldock's show reel to come, but Chesterfield levelled the match before the break. Jordan Bowery skipped clear and Scott Bowden was on hand to tap home. Back to Baldock. He showed his predatory skills next, sliding onto Jabo Abire's cross to claim his 4th of the campaign. 2 minutes later, Sean Williams caught the Spirites back 4 napping, and he picked out Dean Bowditch, who neatly beat Tommy Lee for his first at Stadium MK. John Sheridan's side weren't waving the white flag yet, as Bowden, relishing a rare start, scored his 2nd of the game. But the fight back was short-lived. An error from Dwayne Mattis gave Baldock the chance of a hat-trick, but he unselfishly played in Luke Chadwick. The striker had more spectacular plans of how to score his 3rd. A stunning strike to cap a performance of real quality. There was still time for a 6th to compound the misery for the visitors. Jay O'Shea was tripped up by Drew Talbot. And the substitute stepped up himself to net his 1st for the club.
A bright start for Notts County at Hillsborough, courtesy of a not very bright start from Sheffield Wednesday's Chris Lines, who inexplicably handled in the box to gift Jeff Hughes the opener. But that 10th minute lead was wiped out early in the second half, when Clinton Morrison's presence of mind paved the way for Julian Bennett to smash home his 1st goal for the club. And in the 68th minute, Wednesday completed the turnaround. David Prutton taking 5 county players out of the game with 1 simple pass, and Lewis Buxton's cross was met by Gary Medine. With 15 minutes to go, the home side could feel even more comfortable. County's Neil Bishop had already been booked before he went to ground too easily for the referee's liking. It was the end of his involvement and of his team's prospects of a comeback.
Orient face their London rivals, still looking to put their first points on the board, but Brentford have made a strong start under Uwe Rosler. The game just 6 minutes old when Celtic loanee Niall McGinn rattled them into the lead. The Bees boss admitted his side were lucky to be ahead at half-time. Dean Cox went close to putting the O's on terms. At that stage, no one could have predicted what was to follow, but after the break, Brentford ran riot. Sam Saunders picked out Leon Legg at the far post to increase their lead just 7 minutes after the restart. And just 2 minutes later, Saunders himself practically finished off the contest. A stunning free kick left Orient hurtling towards a fourth consecutive defeat. And the set-piece specialist repeated the trick to inflict more damage midway through the half. High fives all round, and there was more agony for Russell Slade's men in the final minute. Clayton Donaldson was given way too much room to pick out Marcus Bean, smashed home the fifth. Brentford's best start to a season in 6 years, Orient's worst since 1966.
Bury made it 2 wins in a week as they took the points at Adams Park. Mike Jones played a neat 1-2 with Ryan Lowe, the former profiting with an inch-perfect finish to give the visitors the lead. That advantage was nearly doubled when Jones played in Andy Bishop, his chip hitting the bar. The second came after the break. Bishop picked out Lowe, who stabbed home his 5th in as many matches, ensuring back-to-back wins for Richie Barker's Shakers.
Hartlepool were so keen for their first win, they were looking for penalties in the car park. Not the most fearsome arrival at Stevenage, but the team soon regained their composure. Peter Hartley's header had Pools in front 11 minutes before the break. Nor did the home side heed the pre-match warning. John Ashton giving the box-bound Colin Nish a shove, and quicker than you could fall out of a cab, he was over. From the spot, Adam Boyd doubled the lead. Stevenage boss Graham Westley said his players had lacked hunger, ambition and belief, but they redeemed themselves after the break. Their hopes of taking something from the game restored midway through the second half, as Pools' lax defending was punished by Byron Harrison. While Hartlepool haven't won, they haven't lost yet either, but this surely felt like 2 points they'd let slip. Scott Laird seizing a share of the spoils for Stevenage with just 2 minutes to go.
Lee Clark came out fighting ahead of this one. The Huddersfield boss hitting back at his critics after kicking off the season with 3 draws. He answered his doubters inside 3 minutes. Jack Hunt's terrific run setting up Jordan Rhodes for the opener. Last season's leading scorer had barely 2 minutes to enjoy his first goal of the campaign as Colchester hit back almost immediately. A ball over the top sent Coyote Odijayi clear, and the imposing frontman got the better of Peter Clark to level the scores. Hughes boss John Ward has had to move quickly this week to replace highly rated winger Ashley Vincent, sidelined for 6 weeks due to injury. His replacement had the travellers in front, Reading loanee Michael Antonio on the end of John Joe O'Toole's cross to give them the advantage. And the Yorkshire club could have been in even greater trouble as half-time approached. Odijayi looked to have stretched Colchester's lead, but the officials sided with keeper Ian Bennett. Having survived that scare, the home side started the second half much brighter. Lee Novak slipping in Rhodes, who then took aim. That left half an hour for both sides to find a winner, but just 5 minutes after Rhodes' second of the afternoon, Huddersfield retook the lead. Novak's perfectly timed lob took his season's tally to 4 to lift the early season doom and gloom.
Phil Brown seems to have steadied the ship at Preston North End, who now have their first home win of the season. Neil Mellor was pulled down by Steve Tully. No hesitation from the referee to give the penalty and dismissed Tully for a professional foul. Graham Alexander's usually money in the bank from 12 yards, but Artur Krishak was equal to it. The only goal of the game came before the break, something from the training ground. Youngster Jamie Proctor leaping highest to head home Paul Parry's free kick. Exeter's 10 men very nearly grabbed a late point in spectacular fashion, James Dunn crashing one off the bar. But North End extend their unbeaten run in all competitions to 4 games.
How's this for an audacious through pass? It did the trick for Yeovil. Andy Williams outpacing Walsall's defence, only to be foiled by Jimmy Walker. A smart stop by the veteran keeper on what was a good day for the home side's 30-somethings. At the other end, John Macken showed off his experience with a finish of the highest quality. But that Sadler's defence appeared to have a soft centre. Yeovil salvaging a draw when Paul Watton's long ball was misjudged by everyone except his teammate Gavin Williams.
A long trip for Bournemouth, who've made a stuttering start. Scott Malone met Lyle Taylor's cross, but Peter Murphy made sure the scores were level at the break. Just after the restart, Greg Abbott's men squeezed ahead. Murphy stretching to meet James Berrett's free kick, and Tom Taiwo made sure with Carlisle's first home goal of the season. Lee Bradbury admits Bournemouth are struggling to fill the gap left by Danny Ings. He at least can call on Steve Lovell. The fit-again striker went down under JP McGovern's challenge on the hour, leaving former Carlisle loanee Harry Arter to level the scores. But 13 minutes from the end, Bradbury's men were sent home nursing back-to-back defeats. James Tavernier's far post cross opened the door for Craig Curran. And not that he'll want it, Bournemouth's Nathan Byrne will get the credit for Carlisle's winner.
There was an early season Northwest derby at Boundary Park and Oldham take the bragging rights. Chris Taylor went down in the box and the referee pointed to the spot. Ruben Reid converted, just squeezing the ball home to give the Latics the lead. Things went from bad to worse for Dale, who, having fallen behind, were down to 10 men. Neil Trotman, having given away the penalty, was sent off for a late challenge on Kieran Lee. The visitors' protests fell on deaf ears as Trotman got first use of the facilities. Oldham secured victory through Nathan Clark, who signed on Friday from Huddersfield. The centre-back arrived just in time to claim a debut goal. The margin of victory could have been greater, but for some desperate last-ditch defending by Rochdale. In the end, 2 was plenty for Oldham, who followed up their win at Scunthorpe with another 3 points.
Yeah, great 3 days for Paul Dickoff's Oldham. As for the MK Dons, well, they're enjoying their best ever start to a league season. Carl Robinson will be delighted that Sam Baldock's move to Peterborough fell through in the summer.
We certainly will be today. I mean, they played some great stuff today, it has to be said. Really knocked the ball around, and he got on the end of just about everything. I watched him play actually, a couple of years ago for a minute. I didn't know quite work out whether he was a right winger or a centre forward, but he certainly made that his own. And there's 1 or 2 finishes here that do tell you that he's starting to learn how to play that position. But I mean, this is a fantastic goal. They harried and they hassled.
You were purring over this goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great goal, but I think it was a great team effort because they harried and hassled Chesterfield all over the pitch to win that ball back, and then quick feet and a fantastic finish. And a really, really good goal as well.
6 goals for the MK Dons, 5 for Brentford. And it's funny because Uwe Rosler has said about Sam Saunders, he looks a bit like David Beckham. He takes a free kick like him as well.
Yeah.
High praise indeed, but these were 2 quality strikes.
They were. I don't know what I'd be more pleased about if I looked like him or play like him, actually. But these, you couldn't argue, could you, with either comment with free kicks that are taken like this. 2 fantastic goals. And if you've got somebody like that who can get you something out of nothing from dead ball situations, all of a sudden you really have got a step up.
As for Scunthorpe, well, a bit of relief now for Alan Neil. I mean, they were booed off the pitch in midweek when they lost at home to Oldham.
Yeah.
But they showed real mental fortitude to come back from 2-0 down, didn't they?
They did. I mean, that's 100% record, Charlton. Certainly one of the, and rightly so, one of the favourites. You're 2-0 down, look up against it. You haven't played particularly well in the week, as you say, booed off. Had a little bit of a low. Lots of character, lots of fight, lots of resolve. Got themselves back in it, and he'll now think, right, now this has given us a platform that we can work from.
3 wins in all competitions for Bury, under a rookie manager who we've spoken about. We also know all about Ryan Lowe. He scored 1, set 1 up. But they've got Andy Bishop back, and for them, that must be like a new signing after what happened last season.
Well, I mean, I think Richie Barker was very quick to point out that Andy Bishop was very, very good today. They played some great stuff again. Another team who've just kept playing the way that they did last year. You know, that's the way that they got out of Div 2. They've come up again. It's easy when you're dominating games to want to get on the ball and pass it around, but not quite so easy when you come up against better opposition. But they've taken responsibility, they've passed the ball around, and they look a good side who've started very, very well in this division.
Well, that's for League Two. These are pretty exciting times for Rotherham, top of the table after the opening games. The Millers are hoping to do a Brighton this season, i.e. winning promotion before they move into their new home. So as there was a real feel-good factor at the club, we sent Clem along to South Yorkshire.
They say to enjoy the good times, you've got to endure the bad. Something Rotherham United know all about.
It's been terrible.
That's it.
When we went into administration and we lost ground, it was good.
Well, it's been very hard.
As a bright new era beckons, this is a club who in recent years have twice been in administration, 3 times been deducted points, and had to leave their Millmore ground for Sheffield's Don Valley Stadium. But hope springs eternal in South Yorkshire. Initial works begun on the club's new home, and after bringing in 9 new players, it's maximum points for the leaders so far. You're having to get to know your new colleagues, obviously, because there have been so many in and out.
Yeah, well, it was like that last season where there's been a lot of new players come in, and obviously they've gelled really well, and we've got to a great start.
He's shut up now. Can he write his name, do you think?
No, he's struggling, to be fair.
Do you think so?
He normally gets his missus to do it.
Good to see you, mate.
No worries.
So this is Rotherham's planned £20 million, 12,000 capacity new stadium, scheduled to be ready in the nick of time with the 4 years the club were granted to play outside the town's boundaries up at the end of this season.
I think it's been fantastic. I think that having gone into administration twice before I came on board, it wanted someone to get hold of it and develop it. And you know, I brought in professional people that we're working close together. And this is our 4th season. We've got stability, we've got growth, and we've got prospects.
Miller Bear, describe what it's been like following your club over the last few years.
A bit like a roller coaster, because there have been lots of really good highs, like, you know, a trip to Wembley, being top of the league last season for the week or so that we were, and also the times when we've been chasing promotion just before the points deductions, and then there have been the really bad lows, you know, starting a season on -17 and knowing you haven't got a chance.
Just 1 minute. This says it all.
Well, just a little bit higher, sir. Let's take a look at that. Well, there we are. I'm finding this whole experience rather surreal, Miller Bear, if I may say so.
You may say so, yeah.
A reminder of the heights Rotherham United have scaled in the past. Today is the 50-year celebration of the club's participation in the first ever League Cup final, when they beat Aston Villa 2-0 in the home leg before losing 3-0 away. 8 members of the squad are here today. Haven't changed a bit. Well, not much anyway. Can you put into words for us the size of the achievement of Rotherham reaching that final at the time?
Oh, it was absolutely fantastic. Well, I mean, Rotherham at that time weren't a fashionable club, but they were a good family club. They were building one for all for one. And that's how we stuck together all through years. Sound.
The Millers of 2011 stuttered through the opening half. Barnet apparently relishing an opportunity to upset the odds, in front on 35 minutes through Clovis Camjo. Andy Scott must have been demanding a reaction. It came 4 minutes after the break. Central defender Troy Brown lashed in his first senior goal. Barnet, though, were in no mood to roll over. Isel McLeod took a tumble under Michael Rain's challenge. Referee David Coote was in no doubt. McLeod's penalty on the final day of last season preserved the Bees League status. He was spot on again, his 3rd of the season, and he almost grabbed a 4th. Only Brown's quick thinking and agility on the goal line denied the visitors a 2-goal cushion. Rotherham's unblemished record was on the line. Mark Bradley's shot flew off the bar. 8 minutes from time, the equaliser came from a familiar source. The Millers are having to fend off interest in Adam Lafondra. This was his 4th of the season. To protect the unbeaten record, no wonder he's a wanted man.
The chairman says the bids have been derisory, but the fans are anxious. Will Alfie be here? Will Adam Lafondra be here in 10 days' time?
Well, I hope so. He saw the quality of him today, you know, and you know he is an actual goal scorer. He's got 4 in 4, and you know we've had a lot of interest, but you know there's been some players that have left and gone to Championship clubs for £1 million recently who are nowhere near as good as Alfie. You know, as a manager, you want to keep your best players, and he's a goal scorer, and you need goal scorers.
Well, it'll certainly come as music to the ears of Rotherham fans, and they'll no doubt be heartened to hear that Andy Scott, even at boardroom level, he's not under any pressure to sell his star players.
No, I mean, when he went there, I know the chairman said that he'd give him a budget as good as anybody in that league. He's been good to his word. He's brought players in, been very, very proactive in the transfer market. So that augurs well. I think if Lafondra goes, he'll go on Rotherham's terms and nobody else's. They've got a manager who's got a side out of that division in Brentford. So Andy Scott's well versed at being successful at that level. So, you know, you throw that into the mix and they should have a good season.
And do you think the added pressure that comes with a new stadium that's going to be ready for the start of the next season, is that pressure, is it an incentive for the manager and the players, or is it a hindrance that they, you know, that they have to do well this season?
I'm not sure there's real pressure there, because he's got a 3-year deal and, you know, they'll look to improve. They've been knocking on the door. They will want to get up at some stage in the very near future. I do hasten to add, I'm not quite sure how much of a hindrance the Don Valley is. They won't be able to get out there quick enough. And we've seen what happened at Brighton. Yeah. If you get into a new stadium with some sort of momentum, that can carry you a long way.
They can't get there quick enough, can they, the Rotherham fans? Let's round off the rest of League Two, shall we, with a team that's got off to a flyer, New Boys Crawley Town. And no sooner had they been promoted from the Blue Square Premier last season, they were then installed as favourites for promotion. And it's a tag they're living up to, with the Reds in 2nd place before their trip to 4th place Torquay.
Crawley have settled quickly in the Football League. A 3rd consecutive win for Steve Evans' men looked a tall order at Plainmoor, where Torquay hadn't lost since February. But when Chris McPhee clipped Josh Simpson, the die was cast. Though Dean Howe's free kick was blocked, Scott Davis had something special lined up. That stunning half volley came just 4 minutes in, and by half-time the Sussex club had doubled the advantage. A straightforward header for Charlie Wasmer. The scoreline didn't flatter the Reds, who were on course for the top of the table. Straight after the break, Howell picked out Simpson in the centre, and the match was as good as won. So dominant in the conference last season, Crawley have now racked up 34 league matches unbeaten. It'll take more than Torquay's consolation goal to dent their confidence. A quarter of the team had a crack with no luck, but in the end, Wasmer's clearance cannoned in off Lee Mansell. Just a blip for Crawley.
It's now 1 point from 12 for Plymouth, who look to be on course for a valuable away draw at Gillingham till 15 minutes from time. Curtis Weston thought he'd given the Gills the lead, but the officials had already spotted a handball by Ben Gibson. They awarded the penalty, then dismissed Gibson, who got a 2nd yellow for his role in the incident. Danny Kedwell stepped up and confidently converted from the spot. With the man advantage, the Kent side pressed on. 4 minutes from time, substitute Luke Rooney made use of the space before rifling home. The midfielder stating his case for a starting role next time out. Deep into injury time, Simon Walton upended Charlie Lee in the box. Kedwell wrapping up the victory with his 2nd of the game to maintain the Gills' undefeated start to the season.
Three straight defeats and not even a goal to celebrate. It's been another disastrous start for Hereford, but finally they had something to cheer when Delroy Facey put them ahead against the Dons inside 8 minutes. Terry Brown's men have settled down well since joining the league, and the midweek win at Plymouth was another feather in the cap. But for Charles Adamino's miscue, they'd have been level here. Instead, it was left to a part-time tennis coach to put them on terms. No doubt Jack Midson has dreamt of playing at Wimbledon. He'll just have to settle for scoring for them instead. The ball was now firmly in the Dons' court, and at times Hereford were living dangerously. Rashid Yusuf and Midson both went close before Luke Moore smashed in what he thought was the winner. But he was beaten by the flag.
Jim Bentley had lots to say pre-match as his Morecambe side faced Aldershot, but the goals may have left him speechless. You won't see many sweeter strikes than this all season. Kevin Ellison giving Morecambe a sensational start. Aldershot on course for a third straight defeat, though things might have been different if Danny Hilton had enjoyed slightly more luck. Instead, Morecambe were able to enjoy a third successive league win, made safe by another wonderful goal. Luis Alessandra completing a memorable afternoon.
Moss Rose was targeted by copper thieves in the week, but the home side showed plenty of mettle to hold one of the promotion favourites. Bristol Rovers were guilty of missing chances. Scott McGleish should have made better contact with the goal at his mercy. He made a more forceful connection with the advertising hoardings. Gary Simpson's young side more than matched the visitors, and they could have stolen all 3 points when Sam Wedgbury surged at the Rovers' defence and exchanged passes with Ross Draper. But his tame finish summed up a disappointing afternoon in Cheshire.
You can see why John Still was on Bradford's wanted list this summer. The Dagenham boss continues to do the business, even though he had the woodwork to thank for keeping Jack Compton off the score sheet. Martin Hansen made sure he did better with the second attempt. Down the other end, Still's men wasted a glorious chance to head to the break on top. Gavin Tomlin won't be keen to see these pictures again. But his embarrassment was spared when John Nurse came to his rescue. Tomlin's corner caused chaos in the Bradford ranks, and Nurse was ready to pounce. The Daggers have now taken 9 points from 12.
Burton Albion were getting sick of sharing the points after a club record 6 successive league draws spanning the summer break. By the looks of it, Calvin Zola was especially keen to end that run. His thunderous strike on the half-hour turned out to be the difference between the teams. After the break, Southend's Ryan Hall tried the same trick, only to find Ross Atkins in acrobatic form.
Port Vale manager Mickey Adams didn't think his side played particularly well in the first half, despite the fact they scored 4 times. Sean Rigg set the home side on their way. Stanley boss John Coleman felt his team gave up after that first goal, and he won't have been pleased with the defending for the second. Gary Roberts driving under the wall to double the advantage. Vale were rampant, scything through the visitors' back line. Adam Yates' cross picked out Tom Pope, who nodded home for the third. And 2 minutes before the break, Pope was again involved, this time setting up Rigg for his second and the Valiant's fourth. Job done before half-time. An afternoon to forget for Stanley. Peter Murphy's tap in 9 minutes from time did little to lighten the mood.
These two were looking to bounce back quickly after midweek defeats. Kelvin Langmead's trip on Darryl Duffy gave Cheltenham the chance to draw first blood. Northampton's protests fell on deaf ears, and Duffy swept the Travellers into the lead with his first goal for the club after just 12 minutes. But the hosts hit back just before the interval. Cheltenham left themselves exposed on the left, and Adebayo Akinfenwa put it on a plate for Aaron Davis. The former Peterborough man leaving the contest finally poised going into the second half, and Mark Yates's men got to work early after the break. Kaid Mohammed should have restored their lead. Instead, it was the home side that got their noses in front. The persistence of Lewis Young saw him get the better of Danny Andrew. He then sent over the perfect cross for Akinfenwa, who notched his second in as many games. They held on to that lead until midway through the half. The introduction of Josh Lowe giving Cheltenham the spark they needed to draw level. His inviting cross touched home by Duffy, who doubled his tally. Lowe himself would have the final say. 10 minutes from the end, he found a gaping hole in the Northampton defence. He then punished his former club with an emphatic finish.
I'm pleased with the character, pleased with the resilience that we've shown, but also pleased with the football that we play. You know, we try and play the right way. We've got a real good spirit in there, and you need that to come to a place like this and go 2-1 down after leading and then come back and win the games.
We're disappointed, but we'll have a good look at it and we'll see who needs to be taught how to defend, and that's not just the defenders, by the way, that's the whole, even right from the front where you have to defend first, then the midfield and then the defenders.
Few can match Dario Gradi for experience, but like the Crewe boss, Shrewsbury's Graham Turner also started managing way back in 1978. Not that this season has started well. Turner brought in 4 fresh faces after a midweek defeat at Oxford. Among them Sean McAllister, who headed the opener. Crewe introduced teenager Nick Powell, but his involvement lasted just 9 minutes. A straight red for the England under-17 international for that lunge. The Railway men are enduring their worst start to a season in 30 years, having lost 4 in a row in League and Cup. The 10 men almost drew level through Max Clayton's header. The Shrews made their advantage count, and in the 90th minute, former Torquay man Nicky Rowe ran 50 yards to seal it. The perfect tonic for Turner's team, who face Swansea on Tuesday.
It's great to get our first win, and that's the important thing, and we've got a week now where we can look to a nice Carling Cup tie on Tuesday, and all that brings with it. So players will be in great heart for Tuesday after the result today.
Relief there for Shrewsbury, but you get the feeling Dario Gradi is going to certainly need all his years of experience to get Crewe out of their current predicament. As for Crawley, well, they're the bookies' favourites. They've certainly hit the ground running, but they must have surprised you a little bit. I mean, what is it now? 34 games unbeaten in the league, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that takes into account non-league as well, but it's a fantastic record, and they really have just carried on where they left off. I remember going to Torquay last year in the FA Cup, and you know, they gave Torquay a bit of a roasting then, and they've done it again today. And that is a quite magnificent goal by Scott Davies. There's no doubt about it. That's as good as anything you'll see all year.
Gillingham are now unbeaten after 4 games. How things have changed in 12 months for them.
Well, I hark back to this time last year, and you know, start the season, I think it took them 16 games to win the amount of games they've already won this year. And you can throw into the equation losing to Andy Hessenthaler's old club in the FA Cup, Dover. Yeah. So, you know, it was a rather inauspicious start, but no, they've certainly put that right, and that's been a good start, and they look like they're in for a good year because they finished off last year very well, and they've continued in the same vein.
Good goal there for Luke Rooney. Danny Kedwell's also off the mark, and I think it means the world to him being a Gills fan. And for Morecambe, it's their 4th win in a row now in all competitions. Not bad for a team that were, what, 3rd favourites to go down? Yeah, I mean, the year before last had a good year. Not so good last year. And Jim Bentley's come in. Undoubtedly, it will be one of the smaller budgets in that division. It's the quality of these
goals. Have been fantastic, hasn't it? There's some real quality in the second division, as you say, and we've seen just a tip of the iceberg. And they're fantastic strikes. There's no doubt about that. That would grace any game in any division. And as you say, they've started extremely well.
Jim Bentley's finding this managerial lark quite easy, isn't it? Right, let's take a look at what Saturday's results means then as far as the league tables are concerned. In NPAL League 2, New Boys Crawley climbed to the top of the table after that win we just saw at Torquay, and because of Rotherham dropping points at home to Barnet. Gillingham are level with those two sides. Morecambe and Dagenham have also made good starts to the season with 3 wins from 4. At the bottom, well, Dario Gradi, as I mentioned earlier, Crewe, they're the only side that remain pointless in League 2 after losing their opening 4 matches of the season for the first time since 1981. Hereford, Plymouth and Bradford have all got 1 point apiece. As for League 1, MK Dons are top after that win over Chesterfield, and that's because Charlton and Sheffield United were both held to draws on Saturday. Brentford have also climbed the table after that hammering of Leyton Orient. And Orient, well, they stay bottom and pointless after their worst start to a season in 46 years. There are still 5 other teams yet to win, though, in League 1, including Hartlepool, who have drawn all 4 of their games so far. Southampton and Derby, the only sides in the Football League with 100% records now, and it's the first time Southampton have ever won their opening 4 league games of a season, and the first time for Derby since 1905. We should also mention Brighton and Palace, who have, of course, made encouraging starts to the new campaign. While at the bottom, Doncaster, they're the only side without a point, and that goalless draw between Coventry and Watford did neither side any favours on Saturday, with both of them still looking for their first wins. Before we go, don't forget to relive any of the action. The show is available on a loop via the red button until midday Sunday, or from 4 a.m. till 10 a.m. on Freeview. Otherwise, it's on the iPlayer all week. But if it's match highlights you're after, log on to the BBC Sport website. Also, join Colin Murray for the best of Sunday's Premier League games on Match of the Day 2. That's at 10:25 on 2. And we're back on Wednesday when the Carling Cup takes centre stage, and we'll have the best of the action at 11:30 on BBC One. Well, that's it. My thanks to Steve, as always. Well, I certainly hope it's been a good Saturday for your side. We'll see you on Wednesday from me and Steve. Good night.